I never expected our marriage to end on a Wednesday morning, with a cup of lukewarm coffee and a casual bombshell. "Jake, my wife," Emma said, stirring her tea, "I need to talk to you." Her tone was too calm, too deliberate. That should have been my first warning. I set down my mug. "Okay, about what?" She looked at me like she had been rehearsing this moment for weeks. "I want an open marriage," I blinked. "Excuse me?" "I want us to stay married," she said, leaning back in the chair. "But I want to see other people. Date, sleep with others, whatever we want. No secrets, just freedom." I stared at her, dumbfounded. My mind raced. 1,000 questions, 1,000 emotions, but the one that rose first was disbelief. "You're serious?" I asked. She nodded. "Completely." And for a moment, something inside me, call it logic, call it patience, kicked in. I wanted to think this through. I wanted to process it like an adult, like a rational man. "Okay," I said. I agree." "If that's what you want," Emma's eyes lit up. Relief, excitement, almost triumph. "Really, you're okay with it?" "I'm okay with it," I said. And then I paused. I let the words linger in the air. "But, yes? I think I'm going to file for divorce tomorrow morning." Her expression froze. Confusion, disbelief, then the tiniest flicker of anger. "What? Why would you do that?" I smiled faintly. "Because you just told me you don't want to be married in the traditional sense anymore." "You want an open marriage?" "You want freedom? Fine, I'll give you freedom, starting with legal freedom." "I want a clean break." "No drama, no betrayal," she sputtered, unable to find words. She tried to argue, to negotiate, to convince me I was overreacting, but I stayed calm. For months, I had watched subtle cracks in our marriage. Little betrayals, hints of disinterest, emotional distance. The open marriage request was not a problem. It was confirmation. Confirmation that the bond she once claimed to treasure no longer mattered to her. The next morning, I woke early. While Emma slept, I called a lawyer I had met years ago, someone I trusted to handle things discreetly. I signed the paperwork, filed for divorce, and scheduled a meeting with a mediator to handle the division of assets. Every signature, every initial, every word on the forms felt like reclaiming control over a life that had been slipping away without me realizing it. When Emma woke and found the papers on the kitchen table, she gasped. "Jake." "What is this?" "This," I said gently, "is exactly what you asked for. Freedom, the kind you wanted last night. But I realize I don't want half-measured commitment. I don't want marriage on your terms only. So, I filed." Her face shifted through confusion, anger, desperation. "But I thought we could try it. We could experiment together." I shook my head. "I never agreed to live in a marriage where I'm not the one you love completely. Open marriage isn't a solution, it's a symptom. And I don't want to participate. I want out." She sank into a chair, her hands shaking. For a moment, I saw the woman I had fallen in love with. The laughter, the warmth, the late-night talks. But then the mask slipped, and I realized that version of her was gone. The woman in front of me wanted something I could not and would not give. The divorce proceedings were surprisingly straightforward. No bitter fights over furniture, no drawn-out custody battles, because we had no children, and I insisted on handling everything rationally. She wanted drama. I gave her calm efficiency. Weeks later, Emma tried to reach out, to salvage what she called a friendship, but I refused. Not out of cruelty, but because closure was necessary. I couldn't rebuild a friendship on the ruins of a marriage she had already abandoned. I threw myself into work, into friends, into hobbies I had neglected. I traveled, I explored, I rebuilt the life I had once shared with her, but now entirely for myself. Freedom, in its truest sense, is not about dating multiple people or pursuing casual flings. It's about reclaiming your own life from someone who no longer values it. One evening, months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into Emma at a mutual friend's party. She approached, smiling nervously. "Jake?" "I didn't mean to." I held up a hand. "I know, you wanted freedom. I gave it to you." Her smile faltered. "But I didn't think you'd actually file. I thought we'd figure it out together." "I did figure it out," I said softly. "I figured out that I deserve a marriage where I'm loved completely, not shared. And when I realized you couldn't give me that, I chose myself. That's something I hope you understand eventually." She didn't reply. She just nodded, a little pale, and walked away. And I felt lighter than I had in years. Sometimes people confuse compromise with surrender. They believe they can bend the rules of commitment without breaking something essential. But the truth is simple. When your partner asks for freedom in a marriage you cherish, the only real answer is clarity. And clarity, in my case, meant saying yes to freedom, but on my own terms. Filing for divorce the morning after she asked for an open marriage was not cruelty. It was foresight. It was self-respect. It was brutal in the way honesty always is. Emma was shocked, yes, and maybe she will be forever. But I finally felt free. Free from uncertainty. Free from betrayal even imagined. Free from the half-life of a love that wasn't mutual anymore. I never looked back. And that, in the end, was my real revenge.